Sometimes it's the most simple shots around the green which causes the most amount of frustrations. If you're a player who gets faced with a shot of about 15 meters, you're only a couple of meters off the green and you're struggling to get that ball cleanly coming off the club face. You don't have any distance control. You're not sure of the height that the ball's going to come out and how much it's going to roll. Well, stay tuned. This video is really going to help. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Kerrod Gray here on the course today at Joondalup Resort, and I'm faced with a chip shot of about 15 or so meters, and we're going to be talking all about how to strike those chip shots cleanly and ensure that we're not going to thin the golf ball or when we hit the equator right in the middle or hit the ground too much. But before we get stuck in, please go down below, click subscribe, click that little bell so you get notified of all the great content coming your way today on the course. And also, if you are struggling with your chipping itself, I am available for online coaching. Send me a video of your swing from face on, and down the line I'll get nice and comprehensive in regards to my analysis, and then I'll also send you a video of me standing back in front of the camera just like this. Another special note is my membership site is now live. You can get access to over 200 premium videos for a very low cost. I'll post the link down below. You can simply go there and then you can get full access to previously unreleased content that is not and cannot be found anywhere on my YouTube channel. So I'll put that link down below if that's something that interests you. But on to today's content. We're talking about these short shots around the green. We're going to help you eradicate those thin shots and those fat shots. Now, regardless of your skill level, there's nothing more frustrating than putting yourself into a great position, faced with what seems like a relatively reasonable shot or easy shot to get up and down, and there you just go ahead and duff it a couple of meters, or in fact, you actually don't get on the green, you got the same shot again. And time again, what we see with players is that they don't set up in such a way to promote that golf club to come in and strike the ball in some sort of a consistent manner. Just today I had a lesson and the player was struggling with distance control. And one of the most important things to understand when it comes to getting a feel for distance control is a lot of the time players, relative to their skill level, don't have that or have never obtained that because they're not quite sure and they've never developed the feeling of what it's like to strike the ball in a consistent manner. And once you begin to strike the ball in a consistent manner, then the ball will come off with a predictable amount of speed, loft, and rollout relative to the club that you use. So for example, I've got myself a 54-degree wedge here today. And if I strike this golf ball pretty reasonably, which I would hope I would do in this situation, playing golf my whole life, well then I would have some sort of predictable flight and rollout. But let's say I'm a new golfer. I set up, I'm not quite sure where to stand, where to move, and I hit the ground slightly behind. Well, that's going to take a whole bunch of speed off the movement of the club. So therefore, by the time the club actually comes down into the ball, we've lost all that speed. We're really struggling to get that sort of contact that we would like to get so we can see that that ball's going to roll out next to the pin. The same thing goes that if I miss the ground completely and hit the equator, well, before I know it, that ball's off the other side and is down in the quarry, as we can see there. So this right here seems like a bit of an ominous shot with that quarry on the other side. That's out of bounds. We're going to have to take a penalty. We need to make sure that we're going to get some sort of a quality strike on this shot. So we're going to talk about the three big errors that I see players make when they're setting up to the golf ball, and really when it comes to just going ahead and executing, that they make in this position, which causes them to not get up and down or not get the ball as close to the hole as they'd like. So let's talk about number one. The first one would be a misunderstanding of the difference of power versus finesse. Now, power is when we would take a wide stance, we'd have structured arms, we'd create a lot of speed, generate a lot of force, and send the ball as far as we go. And far too often, I see players set up to these short shots like they're going to hit a power shot. Their stance is wide, their arms are structured, and they really feel like they're going to turn and shift off. But a short shot like this, we really don't need any of that. We're looking for more predictability over the strike. So a great way to get yourself set up is to actually come in, set the club first, and then build your stance around that. Now, around the greens, it really doesn't matter if your grip is slightly off relative to a full shot. It's more about ensuring that we're using this golf club how it is designed. And it's built in such a way of where we actually want to brush the turf a lot more, and we don't want to dig it down into the ground and get that compressed strike that you would see with those longer clubs. So with that in mind, when I set the club first and then approach the ball, what I want to see is your feet only about as wide as the golf club head is long. The wider I stand, the more likely I'm going to shift from my right foot to my left foot, and it's just going to be very hard to get some sort of predictable strike on that ball. The narrower you stand, the more upright you're going to stand. All things being equal, this golf club here is going to swing on more of a vertical or a straight up and straight down plane, which is only going to help improve the control of the bottom of the swing and ensure that we strike that ball in a consistent manner. The further away I stand, the more this club is going to arc around my body and the less likely I'm going to get a predictable strike. So with that in mind, if I set the club first, stand nice and tall, nice and close, and build my stance around that, well, now I'm set up for a finesse shot. The next piece that we're looking for, so that's number one, the difference between finesse and power. Let's set up like a finesse shot. The next thing that we're looking for is the position of the body. If I sit back with too much weight on my back foot or my right foot being the right hander, I'm more likely to hit the ground behind or get the club raising up, and that's just going to cause the duff shots and the thin shots. So a little checkpoint that you should always try and follow and remember is we want to get the upper body on top of the ball. If we can get our shirt buttons on top of the ball, well, effectively with a short shot, once we've built our stance, we are going to ensure that the club is going to strike the turf underneath our shirt buttons. So if we can get our shirt buttons on top of the ball, our arms sit in front, that would generally be the bottom of the swing for a short shot. That means we're going to get a far more predictable outcome when it comes to actually striking that golf ball. So that's number two. Let's ensure that we've got our shirt buttons over the ball and our weight is on top. And number three, and one of the easiest, is make sure you have some practice swings next to the ball, rehearsing what you want to do. So I'm going to set up next to it. I've got my finesse stance. I'm placing my weight forward. And all I'm looking for here is I am practicing and imagining that my club is gliding through and hitting a ball which would be directly in line with the one that I've got on the ground. I'm also looking at that target in the distance and going, okay, I want to get a feel for how that club is gliding through the grass relative to the distance that I want to hit it. If I stand here and just make a little swing like this, well, the ball's not going to get there. I'm just rehearsing a bad shot. Or for example, I stand here, make a swing, let's say I'm missing the ground, I'm just rehearsing thinning the shot. The purpose of this rehearsal is to make it as close to the real thing as possible. So we're going to set up here. We are then going to have some swings where we feel like we're brushing the ground. This feels really good. And then I'm going to step in, one last look at the target, and just recreate that feeling. You can see that ball popped up exactly how I'd like, rolling down towards the pin and just a few meters past. So when it comes to playing these shots around the green, there's three big things that I like to see. Number one is set up like a finesse shot, not a power shot. Number two is always ensure that your shirt buttons are on top of the ball. That is key. And number three, let's take some rehearsals next to the ball. So when we step into it, we've got a good feeling of swing length and contact and the feel of the shot that we're about to hit before we go and execute. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you got any questions at all, please ask me below. But until next time, I'm Kerrod Gray. Thanks for watching.